Hi, everybody. I'm Debbie Kramer. I'm the Accessible Technology and Government Documents Librarian. I prefer that you don't use pronouns when you refer to me, so you can just call me Debbie or Dee. I'm here for Core Hispaniola today. I'm going to go through some library resources, a few things to help you out with your research paper, your annotated bibliography, finding materials in the libraries. Very first thing I want to do is I want to point at the library's homepage, which is at col.colgate.edu. Or you can also just Google Colgate Libraries. It should take you right here to this page. Um, at the top of this page, you'll notice a great big information box with a white background. This is so very important because it has information about our reduced hours, at least for the time that the students are going to still be on campus. We also have FAQs regarding the contactless book pickup, the interlibrary loan, and a few other things that are going on. So you could always check in with that. There's also a link to our Ask a Librarian, or you could just go to the Ask a Librarian link at the top of the page to find out about our chat and email services to get some extra help. Before I go into the course guide, I also want to bring attention to this box here on the front page. Doesn't really have a name. The service is called Summon, but I tend to call it the great big search box on the library's homepage. This is kind of like a search overlay. What it does is it pulls together the library's catalog, a number of our main databases, our DVD collection, streaming video collection, open access journals, a bunch of other stuff. It just basically searches a huge hunk of materials that we have access to through the libraries. It's a great place to start out. I'm going to spend a little bit more time in it a little bit later, but you can always get to this just right directly here on the library's homepage. But I highly suggest going into the course and subject guides. So I'm just going to click on the course and subject guides link from the homepage. This will take you into our library guides page. We have course guides, subject guides, topic guides. Topic guides are basically everything. We couldn't find another area to put them into. Subject guides are discipline-based for majors, minors, and some of the programs at Colgate. Course guide are created specifically for courses. You should have this link up on your Moodle, but if you ever just need to get through it through the library's page, you can just click here, Core 149C, Hispaniola. And ta-da, a bunch of information. You know it's me because you got my nice little picture up here. I also want to point out that there's a button to email me, or you could just copy paste in my email address. It's dkramer@colgate.edu or dkrahmer@colgate.edu. There's also a great big book now button. What this does is it takes you to basically connects you to my catalog, my calendar, so that you can set up an appointment with me. You get 30 minutes of my time anytime that I'm available between like 9 a.m. and like 4 p.m. or something like that. Basically, this is so that you could just set up an appointment, and as much information as you can give me before the appointment is awesome, because then I can do a little bit of pre-researching and take a look into your topic and stuff like that, see what kind of problems you might be running into. We could have a much more productive meeting as opposed to starting over from the beginning of like, hey, what's your topic? What are you searching? Where have you already looked? All of those kind of things. You send me that information ahead of time, we can just right into getting doing some searching. But you can also just email me anytime with any kind of questions. So the homepage just has a few resources. If you're doing research, you might be interested in some of our other guides, like maybe you're doing education, you're focusing on history, political science, religion, sociology, or women's studies. All of these guides have more materials, including books, encyclopedias, and journal article databases that you might want to use for those specific topics to help you out. And a few kind of best bets on here. A few other things I want to draw your attention to is that I do have embedded in here a tab for the Chicago Manual of Style, CMS, for both Chicago Note Style and Chicago Author Date. Basically what this is it shows you what for author note or for Chicago Note Style, it shows you what the note is supposed to look like. as well as what the bibliography format is supposed to look like for books, journals, films, social media, all sorts of different things that you might be linking to. Author date style shows the in-text. That's the one that uses the parentheticals, much like MLA or APA. And also what the bibliography looks like. There is a difference in what your bibliography looks like when you're in Chicago Notes style versus Chicago author date. So make sure you're checking this, making sure you're doing it the right thing. Always double check your citations to make sure that they're correct before you hand them in. Don't just copy paste them from something without making sure that it's kind of correct. I also have some information on here about annotated bibliographies, an entire tab devoted to it. This is just kind of like some general information of things to think about when you're working on an annotated bibliography, kind of questions that you might want to answer, short information in addition, or a short paragraph that describes all of these things. Along with the citation is typically the format of an annotation. One thing I like to really draw attention to when it comes to annotated bibliographies is that part of this is to help you as you're working on your research. So sometimes annotations are a really good thing to do, even if you don't have to hand them in. You just have a citation, you have a paragraph talking about what the article is about, why you want to use it in your paper, and how it connects with the other research that you're doing. That way, you know, if you do all your research in one big chunk and then you go back in like 3 weeks to write your paper, you don't have to go through and read every single article again and redo all that work that you had been doing. It's there, it's organized. You could just set up a Google Doc, start putting in this information and start building it. It's going to save you so much time, so you're not just, you know, ramming through those articles and like, oh yeah, that's what I wanted to use it for the night before your paper is due, because nobody writes their paper the night before it's due. There's also a page on here about online lectures. That's where this particular video is going to be at. I think it still has the older one. Also has a video on how to connect to materials from off campus. Hey, look, it's me again. One of the things that you might want to make sure that you're using is to have the Colgate VPN installed on your computer. Just go to colgate.edu/VPN and download and install, it's called like Global Protect or something like this. This will allow you to, even if you're off campus, even if you're doing your research at home, after, you know, everything's gone remote, if you're sitting at home or wherever, you'll still be able to access everything as though you're on campus. We only have a couple of databases that don't work from off campus, even through the VPN, but it's so rare, we don't even really need to talk about it. So I'm just going to click over into our encyclopedia/search terms. This is kind of a catch-all page. So with this page, I included some encyclopedias that might be helpful. I didn't include a lot because we have like, I don't know, like 500, 600, 1,000, I don't know, a ton of encyclopedias in the library. Most of the third floor of the library has encyclopedias taking it up, or taking up the shelves down there. And encyclopedias are great, especially subject-specific encyclopedias. They're scholarly. They're written by experts in the field. They often have citation pages that lead you to some of the major resources on those particular topics. It's a great way as you're getting started and you're just like, I have no idea what I need to search. I just know I kind of want to do something about religion. So these can help you. You can also go back to the guide homepage and look at the other subject-specific library guides that I pointed out earlier. So a little word on doing searching, and I'm not going to read out everything that's up on the screen. You could read that later on your own, but I just want to point out subject headings versus keywords. Most of the searching that you've ever done has been keyword searching. It's kind of the default for just about any database, Google, anything like that. Keywords are just words appearing anywhere in a material. And when it comes to articles and books, it could mean within the full text. It could be title of a chapter. It could be the author. It could be the author's acknowledgments. It could be information about the author. It could be in the title. It could be in all these different kind of things. Keywords can happen anywhere. Subject headings, though, these are specifically assigned and tell you exactly what the article is about. Sometimes these will be really, really specific and not really um, uh, lead you to other articles, and sometimes they'll really, use that subject heading, and you find 50 other articles that are exactly on that exact same topic. So subject headings get you very specific things. It'll get you right into the books or articles that are related to a topic, and if you're using a subject heading, it has to be about that. One of the places where it's going to come in really handy is especially with locations. So you may have an article where maybe it mentions Haiti in the opening paragraph, comparing something there, but it's actually an article on China. And you're not looking for an article on China. You want an article on Haiti. So by limiting your search, going into the advanced search and going into the subject headings and telling it Haiti has to be a subject heading, you're going to limit it to just articles that are about Haiti. You're not going to get these other kind of random articles. But it's also going to get you a much, much smaller amount of materials to look at, which can be a good thing and a bad thing. So play around with subject headings, play around with keywords, see which one is going to work best for you. I did include some subject headings that I thought would be related and of interest. All of these links on here, they actually go to our library's catalog, and it'll show you a bunch of books and sometimes films that we have that are on a particular topic. So I'm just going to click on Hispaniola, and it's going to open in a new window. So you can see we have 2 books that are specifically on Hispaniola. We have a 1993 bibliography, which is just a collection of articles or books, chapters. There's community life history. There's early works to 1800, description and travel, geology, history, different areas of history, literature, and it just kind of goes on and on and on and on and on. So these can be really helpful because then you can find, well, I'm really interested in 18th century history, or no, I just want 19th century history. And it'll take you to specifically the 2 or 3 books that are on that particular topic in the libraries. And all of these down here will also do the same thing. You can also use these in any of our article databases. They can sometimes help you to do some better searching. One that I want to kind of point out is Dominican Republic Haiti relations, or Haiti relations Dominican Republic. These 2 down here will really talk about how the 2 different countries kind of relate to each other. Why politically, culturally, how they interact with each other, and so these can kind of give you some really good materials if you're looking at specifically the compare contrast between Dominican Republic and Haiti. So there's a number of ones on here. So now I'm going to go into the fun stuff. We're going to look at the articles. So first off, I have to show you view all databases in an A to Z list. We have a ton of databases, 456 in this list. This includes some of our ebooks collection, the streaming video collections, all sorts of materials. We have stuff on stuff that's on about stuff. I mean, it's ridiculous how much stuff we have. So you can come to the subjects list, and if you just want to look in like, okay, so what are all the databases that are on art and art history? You can come in here and limit it to just the art and art history books, and it gives you some best bets, and then it gets you into the list. And so if you're doing Haitian art, this would be a good place to look at even more articles on that. So that's the view all databases, the A to Z list. It's the same link as if you go to the library's homepage and click on just databases. which is right below the great big search box. Journal Finder and Article Linker. This is important if your professor says something like, the Journal of Haitian Democracy would be a really great journal that you'd want to use to look for articles within that journal. Well, how do you look for those articles? You want to use the Journal Finder or the Article Linker. They're both kind of named the same things. It's used kind of interchangeably. To look to see, do we have any full text access to that particular journal? Especially so that you can go through and actually see all the articles. I also have a section here on just general journal article databases, including a link to the great big search box. And then I have some subject-specific journal databases. So a number of these, like Worldwide Political Science abstracts, that's more if you're looking for political science, public policy, government, those kind of things. EconLit, economy, commerce, trade, those kind of topics. Women's Studies International and Gender Watch. These are really great for anything dealing with femininity, masculinity, women, men, different relations. Gender Watch kind of covers a much more kind of diverse collection, so it includes like newsletters and some things that are not scholarly, but it could still really be good for your topic. Women's Studies International, they focus on the feminist or womanist perspective in the scholarship. NSPEC has a lot of technical computer science kind of stuff, as well as a lot of education, especially like education online or education with technology materials. Professional Development Collection is another education database. PAIS is another political science database, and then Historical Abstracts. This is great for anything dealing with history. Again, small representative of the ones, but these are just ones that I thought might be really useful for you. So to show you an example, I'm going to go into the big search box. It takes us directly into the search box. It looks slightly different from going into the home page, but it's all searching the exact same thing. I'm going to put in Haiti. You can see just putting in Haiti, it comes up with suggestions: Haiti earthquake, Haitian revolution, hairspray. Let's do Haiti and education. So I just type in, it's just doing a keyword search. It's looking for these anywhere, and you can even see it highlights found education, conflict in Haiti is the first article, education partnership in Haiti. It highlights where it found those keywords at. So a couple of things you can do here. You can limit it to just the library catalog. That will find you any books or ebooks that we have on this particular topic. You can see here it tells you full text, or for an actual print book, if you click on the title, it'll take you into the record for this particular one. So this might be exactly the book you're looking for. You can either copy the call number and go find it in Case Library, or you can also come up here and there's a request button at the top. And by hitting that request button, we send somebody out into the shelves to go pull the book for you. It gets checked out to you, and then it's going to be available in the lobby area on level 3 of Case Geyer Library. So with like your name on it, and there's like a bunch of carts and some shelves and stuff like that. So you don't even have to like talk to anybody or have an interaction with anybody. You can just go in and get the book. Really, really suggest if you're going to use any books or any of our print materials, do it before the Thanksgiving break. Gather those together. We have scanners in the library, so if you want to scan the chapters you want to use, you can scan them, email them to yourself. You're going to have them, so you don't have to worry about trying to return books before the end of the semester. We are expanding, lengthening. My brain just lost the word. Whatever it is, your books are going to be due like spring semester. We're not charging people due to COVID because we know it's a really difficult time. You can't always get to campus. So If you need your books, you can take them home with you for the Thanksgiving and winter break. But if you don't need them, just scan a couple of articles out of it or a couple of chapters, return them to the library, and we'll take care of it. Either way, you're not going to be penalized. It's just probably a lot easier, especially if you don't know yet if you're going to be staying on campus in the spring, to just go ahead and return those books. You know, scan what you need, return the books, and you won't have to worry about it in the future. So that's finding books. I'm going to clear out all my filters. So now we're doing is bringing up everything again. So now I want to hit the scholarly and peer reviewed button. So what that does, scholarly peer reviewed, this basically means that experts in the field have reviewed the article, said it was really good research, it fits in with the discipline. Um, it's gone through some kind of review process and approval before it actually gets published. So you know it's going to be of a higher quality. It's not just something that somebody put out after doing 5 minutes of research. This is some in-depth, really, really good stuff. So limit to scholarly peer review. The scholarly peer review button typically only works for articles. If you're looking for scholarly or peer-reviewed books, that's a kind of slightly different thing. You have to do a little bit more work on it on your own. But you know, hit that button. This button exists in any of our databases, so you can just limit it to scholarly peer-reviewed materials. So it's going to kick out newspaper articles. It's going to kick out books in the catalog, films, anything like that. So you can see. Very first article, again, it shows in bold print what keyword terms that it found. ACR Radiology Education Days in Haiti. Article number 2 is differential vulnerability to hurricanes in Cuba, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic, the contribution of education. That one sounds pretty good. It's a connection of ecology as well as education. This information here, it gives you the full text link to the article. You can also click the more information. That'll give you the abstract for this particular article, as well as all the cited information. And there is your subjects: formal education, neighborhoods, disasters, civil defense, hurricanes, research, human ecology, natural disasters. These can give you other subject terms that you might want to search, especially if you're looking for related articles with this. Another thing that you can do, and this doesn't always come up for every article, like I noticed this number 3 doesn't have it, but you'll see article number 2 has cites / cited by. And then article number 3, Education and Society in Haiti, 1804 to 1843, does not have it. It's limited by the information that is available to the particular database. So some databases include a list of, here are all the articles that this particular article cites. So what that author used to build up their article and what they referred to. So that can be one way. If you find one good article, look at who they cite, and you can see how did they build up the research. That can be one way of expanding and looking at the entire scholarly conversation. Another thing with some of the articles, you'll notice cited by. So that means after this article was published, which it was 2013, who has cited that article? So who has continued this conversation with this particular article into the future? So that's another way, once you find that one really good article on your topic, to see how did it develop out? How are people talking about it today? So both of these just bring up a list. This one has only one article within it. And let's see, let's click on the cited by. It's also only finding materials that are also available within the materials that we have access to. So it's not even finding everything, just to warn you about that. I'm going to go back to the search. So that's a couple of things. A few other things that you can do. I'm going to clear out all my filters. And I'm going to come up here in the upper right-hand corner, and I think my little video kind of covers this. But you'll see these 3 horizontal lines. It's called a hamburger menu because it's a bun and a bun with a hamburger in between, three lines. And when you click on that, it'll bring up the advanced search option for here. Any of our databases, when you go into them, you can go to the advanced search. Some of them default to advanced search simply because it's so much easier to use. Some of them don't, like JSTOR takes you to the basic search, but Academic Search Premier takes you to the advanced search. So what you can do here is where I was talking before about Haiti and as a location, is that I can tell it, I want you to find Haiti in the subject terms, meaning the article has to be on Haiti. So it's doing a subject term search. And then in all fields is a keyword search. So this one I'm going to put in education. And you can even add in more lines. So maybe you're like Haiti, education, and ecology. I've found that article. I want to find more articles that are specifically on ecology. And you can choose ecology as either a keyword, all fields, or you can limit it to just subject. But I'm going to keep it as it is. Haiti as a subject search, education as a keyword, ecology as a keyword. And let's see what comes up. So over 194 hits before. Now we have 564, and then I'm going to limit it to scholarly peer-reviewed. 25 articles. How awesome is that? If you want to do something on education, ecology, and Haiti, boom, here's a bunch of materials for you. And again, some of them have cites, cited by. Many of these are full text available. A lot of these are full text. As you can see, just by playing around and changing out subject headings, keyword terms, you can find more materials that are going to be relevant to your particular search topic. So I'm just going to go back to the guide. And just want to show you Academic Search Premier. I'm not going to do any big searches in it, but just to give you an idea. So you can see this one goes to the advanced search. You can select a field, subject terms, and do the exact same search as we did before. And you can also come down here and limit it to scholarly peer-reviewed journals. On JSTOR, one of the reasons it goes to the basic search is because everything in JSTOR is scholarly peer-reviewed. So it just kind of takes you to here. Oh, wait, no, it does take you to the advanced search. Awesome, that was updated. Used to be just one search box, so forget what I said about JSTOR going to the basic search. It now goes to the advanced search. I also have a link to Google Scholar. One thing you can do with Google Scholar that is really great is that you can use that once you find an actual article that you really like. So I'm going to grab this title of a book. Puzzles the Democratic Peace Theory, Geopolitics, and the Transformation of World Politics. So this is another way to find out who has cited this book since it was published. Because it's Google Scholar, it's looking at dissertations, it's looking at theses, it's looking at other materials like that. So you're going to get a greater number of hits to look for those cited by. And so you can see with this one, it has cited by 145. And then it'll take you to links of it for books and journal articles. One thing I forgot to point out, let me open up the great big search box again and just put in Haiti earthquake just as a sample search. I forgot to point out 2 things on here. So any of our databases, if you're just collecting like the URL, you don't want to use the URL from the location bar up here. You want to look for something that says permanent link or permalink or something like that. Sometimes it's a really ugly, really long URL. But by copying that, you're always going to be able to get back to the article. Some of our databases, they change the location on the fly. So a URL, you might do a search, you find a really good article, you copy that URL, and you do that on Monday. And then on Thursday, when you go back and try to get into that article, that link no longer functions. So you want to use the permanent URL so you can always get back to it. The other thing to look at is the little quotes have cite this item, and a number of our databases offer this. So I'm going to change this to Chicago Turabian. Every database has different formats that they might make it available in. So, and you can see it gives you pretty much the entire citation here. I don't see anything huge showing out. I think like some of the punctuation isn't quite right here, but other than that, it looks pretty accurate. But again, you always want to double check. And if you're using Google Docs, if you copy paste from here, sometimes when you paste it into a Google Doc, there'll be some really weird formatting, like overlapping and stuff. So double check before you hand it in that the citation's accurate and that it looks good and that it's readable before you do it. All right, let me get back into our guides. And I won't go into any of these other databases. You can check them out. Probably the most important thing is, as you're doing your research, don't sit there for 6 hours banging your head against a computer trying to find something. When you start feeling frustrated, that's when you should reach out for help. You can reach out to me, you can reach out to any librarian. All of us are there to help you. And you're not bothering us. This is the part of my job that I love, is working with people and helping them find things. So I'm always excited when I get an email from a student and I get to do some work. I get to learn something new. So please, reach out to us, and we're there to help you with any of this. If you need help with your citations, you need help finding something, you just have a question and you're just like, you know what, I have no idea what I'm doing and I just want to talk to somebody about my topic, we can do that too. Anything that can help you. And again, none of our librarians are able to work in the building this semester. So any of the Book Now appointments are going to be through Zoom, or you can also just email and get a response fairly quick. So thank you for listening and paying attention during this really quick video. If you have any questions, let me know, like I've said about a bajillion times. Good luck with your paper. Good luck with your semester. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thanks.